Hey, Rob. Thanks for joining me tonight. Let me give it just a second while a couple of people trickle in here. I did. It's summertime and it gets warm out here. Yeah, I cleaned it up a little bit. Nope, no more beard, but look for it again this winter. Well, how's everybody doing tonight? I hope y'all are doing good. I am fantastic coming back from our vacation over to Sweden. It was amazing. And it was absolutely a trip of a lifetime over there. Those people are fantastic, and we saw things that you could never imagine or dream of seeing. We got so much packed into the 7 days we spent over there. It was absolutely amazing. So I came back fresh. I'm excited. Got a lot going on this summer. We got a lot going on. Got a lot going on this month. Um, Couple of things I figured I'd just give a big thank you to our AFA Sweden members and our two members or our member from the United Kingdom and our member from Italy that showed up. Also, our Norwegian members that helped get us from the airport. You guys were absolutely fantastic. Your hospitality meant so much to all of us that were over there. The event was fantastic, but the love you guys showed us, taking care of us and showing us places is really appreciated, and we thank you so much for it. Steve, beards are funny like that. I can keep growing them. It's all good. It'll be okay, and I'll probably bring it back this fall. Ah, appreciate you guys joining me tonight. How's everybody doing? Does anybody have anything they want to start off asking, or anything been on people's minds? I'm trying something a little bit different this time, checking in on Facebook, regular Facebook, as well as the thing over in the corner, because it seems like I've been missing some of your guys' questions, and it's certainly not intentional. I appreciate you guys, putting forth the effort to coming out and talking to me, during these. So I'm going to try really hard to see if I can make sure we're accessing all the questions. Well, while we're getting going, I'd like to also do kind of a almost last minute plug for Midsummer at Odenshof. It's our premier event of the year. It's going to be amazing. We've got a really good time lined up for you guys, and we always love you guys coming out and seeing the Hof. And the more of our AFA family we can get out in our sacred spaces, the better. It's really something special. So if you guys can, the 21st through the 23rd of this month, we would love to have you guys there. Get registered if you're going, and Midsummer is going to be amazing. So if you can do it, let's make it out and see if we can make it happen. Checking something here so I can get all situated just in case I'm receiving questions. Okay, and I'll probably bring it back this fall. All right. Without listening to my video and hearing myself make noise, I'm not sure I can access some of the questions, but it is going on there. So yeah, we're going to work on that, and I think Mandy's going to help me out with that. No worries, Victor. The age of technology, we all got various signal problems here. Now you can hear me going on about trying to get this thing to work the most efficiently, so I know how that is. Hey, Jason, good to see you here. So I talked a little bit about Midsummer. Jason popping on reminds me, if Midsummer's too soon and you can't quite make something happen that fast, I encourage everyone here to come out to Fall Fest. Fall Fest is being held in Minnesota. This is going to be the fourth Fall Fest. fourth Fall Fest, and they've been fantastic so far. I've been fortunate enough to be at each one of the Fall Fests, and it's really been something. Um, so I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fantastic. We got a bunch of people coming in for it. It's been bigger and better every year, and so I'm really excited about that. That's coming up in about the second week of September. So if you guys can't make it out to Midsummer, or even if you can, we'd love to see you guys go to Fall Fest and help support what they've got going on. They've got a really great community there. Some of our very best people, certainly some of our most hospitable, generous people that'll go out of their way to help you get situated, help you get to the event, help you get taken care of with bedding and things like that. They're fantastic. So yeah, if you can make it out to Fall Fest, love to see you there. So let's start off the questioning tonight. If you guys are so inclined, does anybody have anything they wanted to make sure I talk about today, or anything they wanted to make sure and ask me? Appreciate you guys joining me tonight. How's everybody? I'm happy to answer anything, and now is certainly the time. If I'm looking down, don't bother. Like I said, I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting the questions. See, here we go. I'm glad I did. Garrett Norris is asking if there's an AFA group that he can join in Texas. We've had a lot of changes recently in Texas, but what's very exciting is Sheila McNallen herself is now folk building for Texas, and she's getting that all squared away, and she would love to help you find other Texas members. We do have members in Texas. We do have activity, and Sheila would love to help you if you reach out. Sheila at runestone.org. And Sheila can get you all set up if you send an email that way. She'd be very glad and very excited that you asked. Oh wow, we got somebody joining us from Austria. Gerald, thank you for joining us. I'm glad you're here. I would love to go see your country someday. I hear that it is extremely beautiful. Rob's complimenting me on my interview I did with Steve McNallen the other day. Thank you, Rob. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you gave it a listen. It's always a good time talking to Steve. I'm really glad to get that opportunity to talk to his audience there, and yeah, I certainly enjoy coming on whenever he wants to have me. So we have a gentleman in New Hampshire wondering what they can do to get involved in the AFA. Well, I would first suggest you reach out to your folk builder. We actually have a new folk builder helping out in your region alongside Cliff Erickson, who's been the folk builder for the entire Northeast for a very long time. We now have Eric Tibitot up in Massachusetts, and he can get you all set up. There's not a ton of members in New Hampshire yet, but there's quite a bit of members in New England, and he would love to get you set up and help you find your feet and give you some ideas that you can do to help out locally and to get involved locally. So that's going to be etibitot@runestone.org. And these email addresses I'm giving you just in case, if you go to www.runestone.org, they can help. And also we'll try to go through these comments and tag the folk builders afterwards to make sure that you guys end up getting together. But yeah, we'd love to see more of a community further up north on that coast. That's fantastic. Eric Strong says, hi, asks how life's treating me. Life is treating me fantastic. I'm a lucky guy in all ways, and I'm a very happy guy. Things are going good for me. Oh, Chancey, hey, good to talk to you. I'm glad you're on. I'm glad you like the pictures and the getting to see what happened on the trip. That's all thanks to Dee Dee. Not all, but on our end, that's thanks to Dee Dee. And then we had quite a few of our Swedes taking really great pictures. But Dee Dee takes fantastic pictures, and I'm really glad she did because I always forget to. Bakersfield. you're going to want to talk to Heather Klinkenbeard. It's going to be at hklinkenbeard@runestone.org. Heather would love to help you get situated and find members down there. We have, quite a few members in that part of California, and yeah, talk to Heather, and she'd love to help make that happen. Like I say, any of these addresses I'm throwing out you quickly, I'm going to try to go back through the comments after this and tag the relevant folk builders in them and help you guys get set up. I appreciate you guys reaching out, and I'll do more than just throwing an email address at you and get you set up. All right. Well, a whole bunch of people have joined us. I appreciate you guys all for coming out. Thanks for being here. I look forward to this every month, and it's really nice to talk to you guys. Things going on. If you guys didn't heard, I want to brag a little bit more about our amazing members in Sweden and Scandinavia in general and what they did for us. The event, Ultima Thule, I've been advertising it on here the past few times I've talked to you guys, and it was a really big success. It was such a nice event. The family feeling was absolutely there, and it was something really special to have an AFA event to where we had folks from 6 different countries speaking 5 different languages at the event. So it really felt like an AFA Europe event. We met some truly amazing people, and we made some really good connections. It was really amazing to me, and I think to everybody who went over with me, just how close we felt to those members. Even though we're separated by so much distance, we were immediately like close friends, and in the course of 3 or 4 days, we felt like family. So thank you guys for that, and I think it's a powerful statement about the AFA and just what we're building here, because it's really something special. And hey, Mark, thank you guys for joining us. See, Dave joined us. Thank you, Dave, for helping out with Steve and I the other night on that interview. I appreciate you keeping company while we were trying to get Steve's connection figured out. Hey, Brian, thank you for joining us. So does anybody have any questions for me tonight? If you guys are getting tired of hearing me say that, ask me some questions and give me something to talk about, because I'd love to go ahead and answer anything you guys need. Who's going to be speaking at Midsummer? I will be speaking at Midsummer. Mike Hunter will be speaking at Midsummer. Heather Klinkenbeard will be speaking at Midsummer. Sheila McNallen will be speaking at Midsummer. Sean Sandin will be speaking at Midsummer. Now I wish I had the schedule right in front of me and I could tell you, some of the other things we have planned. We have a women's workshop going on. We're going to have a kids bloat going on. Heather always does an amazing job with the kids bloat. That's something really special if you are coming and bringing your family. It's really nice to see the kids get started and get that figured out early on. It's a special thing, and Heather does a great job with it. We're going to have an Odin bloat. We're going to have our midsummer bloat. We're going to be ordaining a new Gothi, and we're also going to be oathing in a new folk builder. So we got a lot going on, and it's going to be a very special time. The secret to your AFA membership pin, do you have a really old one or one of the new ones? Our newer pins seem to fasten really well, and you're the first person I've heard say anything about them, but our previous pins, not so much. If you've got one of our older pins with a little bit brighter colored blue, let me know after this, and we can see about getting you a new and improved pin with a better backing on it. Our new pins so far have been really good. You can kind of tell it's a little bit richer and a darker blue. So yeah, let me know and we'll get you squared away on your pin, Shane. All right. I asked for questions, and Rob comes in with the heavy ones, asking me about the nature of divinity. Before I get to that, I want to say thank you, Rob. Those of you may not know, Rob Stam just stepped up to be our newest folk builder, and he's going to be an apprentice folk builder in the Upper South region. So folks in the Upper South, feel free to reach out to Rob. He can get you guys set up and help you all out. It's a complex question, and I'm not sure whether you're asking what aspect of it you're asking, but there are forces that exist in the cosmos and in reality that are greater than us, that created us, that shaped who we are and what we've become. And I think that's like the most basic way I can place the nature of divinity. There are divine personalities, divine wills that have caused actions to take place and set things into motion. And we in the AFA believe that those wills have guided our folk and certain of our leaders and our elders towards great things, and certainly have encouraged our heroes to accomplish greatness. With our divinity and the divinity that we worship in the Asatru Folk Assembly, we worship the Aesir and the Vanir, and the Aesir certainly embody consciousness and order. And one of the key themes of that is in primordial chaos, our divinities shaped that chaos into order, into the world that they wanted, into the world that we have, that's all around us. They also shaped our consciousness and elements of our soul, and they shaped Aryan mankind into what we are, and our consciousness and our reality into what it is. And I think that we access that divinity through right action and ritual practice. If we do the right things and we have the right heart condition and the right intent, and we're able to perform certain functions ritually, we can interact with that. And through the exchange of gift and the exchange of energy, we bring some of that divinity into our lives and into our sphere, and we let them know that we're here, that we love them, and that we're loyal to them, and that we wish to carry on, a faith in them that has laid dormant for quite a while. And I'm not sure if that touches on what you wanted to ask about divinity, but that's my quick thing on divinity. Well, Brian, looks like you got a fan. We got somebody saying you're their favorite author. And yes, the kids bloat really is awesome. So if you haven't seen that, it's really something special to see. Heather does a great job. Oh, okay, a little bit more to the whether the deities are real personalities or whether they're personified archetypes. Um, Unequivocally, there's absolutely personality when we're reaching out in bloat. We're speaking to a consciousness, and that consciousness is interacting with us. So I certainly believe that in a very real sense, that the divine is real. Archetypically, I think certainly they set divine examples for us to hearken towards or bring ourselves in alignment with. I think they serve an archetypical function, but they're more the creators of the archetype than a personification of our creation in that sense. Got a question about reincarnation in our lore. The afterlife is described a number of different ways, but I think that there's three basic concepts of what happens. And I think that one of the things to consider is our soul complex is a multifaceted thing. I think there are elements of ourselves that certainly get passed on within the family line. We can see that with the practice of naming children after ancestors, of those ancestors or pieces of those ancestors' souls being reborn or being imbued in the shaping of that new child's soul. I think for most of us, for most people, there's a portion of yourself that lives on in the mound or with your ancestors. When we talk about people going to the halls of their ancestors, I think that for the average person, that's the afterlife is going with those ancestors, watching on after your descendants and interacting in that way. I think there's probably a reincarnating element into that. I think there's also folks that have messed up so badly and are so misusing their space that they get less options, that perhaps their afterlife has less opportunities and less things. But one of the things that also is important is the afterlife for the heroes, the path of ascension, and getting to go and feast with the gods and pursue struggle with the divine. When we see the stories of the Einherjar, I think that for the heroes, there is the possibility of escaping that sort of reincarnating loop and that continuing on in an earthly existence. And I think that there's heroes that go on and have a higher form and move on to something a little bit different, a little bit better. And I think that's evident in a lot of different aspects of our lore and a lot of different closely related lore. Well, thank you, Zach. I'm glad that Brian and myself have fans. Brian certainly deserves it. He does a great job. He's always looking for new ways to find aspects of our lore and our belief that can help people live productive lives and find success in life. I think that's extremely important, that he finds ways to put our faith to practical use. So yeah, I'm really glad that Brian does have fans. Couple of questions related now that we're talking about afterlife and reincarnation. As far as my views on entering Valhalla, I think we do ourselves a disservice when we try to get overly literal with all the passages of the lore, and when we try to take one very small story and claim that we know all the depth and breadth of everything because of, the way Snorri chose to word something. I think that at the time a lot of the stories originated, one of the best paths of the hero, one of the best, most relevant paths of ascension, is reaching a place in battle to where one was selfless, one was not concerned with outcome, one was detached from those lesser things and became something higher and a higher version of themselves when they went out into combat and died heroically. And I think that's fantastic. And I think that gives birth to the description of Valhalla. I think that when we look at people going towards the halls of the gods and towards ascension, I think there's probably many paths to ascension. I don't think it's about just living a good, honorable life, though. I think it's about pursuing more than we are. I think that in order to ascend to something better, we need to aspire towards greatness. And, in this life, we're not going to come to perfection, but I think that in order to get the rewards of a hero, we need to live heroically. We need to challenge what our limitations are and find ways to push our consciousness, our souls, our wills past that and become something more than we are. And I think that's one of the keys to understanding ascension to the halls of the gods. Matt Waldron, to your question on whether people reincarnate in whole or in part. I don't think our lore really gives us a very clear view of that. I think in part, certainly, in whole, perhaps. I tend to think more that there are pieces, that there are elements of a person that do reincarnate within that family line. And I think that there are elements that probably don't. I think that there are elements that maybe go back and get reused in other ways. I think that when we talk about ascension, I think that one does ascend in whole. But when we talk about our soul complex, there's a lot of that, your body is a piece of that as well. Certainly that doesn't ascend. So it's a complex question, but I think much more ascension in whole is the Odinic path and the path of the hero. I think that the rest you deal with different portions of the soul complex. But again, I don't want to get too far in the weeds on that. Apparently we have a lot of folks tonight missing my beard. Don't worry, it may very well make a return this fall, but summertime, it's hot in Nevada, and I'm gonna keep it clean for the next couple of months here, but we'll see a little bit later. Well, Steve, you ask about people reincarnating in a family line, and what if someone's childless, and what happens with them in reincarnating in the family line? And again, I can't tell you with any great degree of certainty on that, but you said no one ever talks about it. I think that they don't like to talk about it because it makes people uncomfortable. And I say that as someone who has no children. Reincarnating in the family line is very important. Is there some way that maybe you reincarnate into nephews or nieces or things in that regard? Perhaps. Again, I'm not sure. I think that you stand a much better chance of having elements of yourself reincarnate into your descendants. I think that probably makes the most sense, and probably not necessarily the answer that people like the most, but I do think that makes the most sense. But I don't think that we have reason to believe that, there aren't exceptions to that. And again, I wish I had the perfect answer to that question, but I think to get close to it, your best and most direct path of portions of yourself reincarnating would certainly be within your family. Matt Waldrum asking again about heroes being reborn in whole. I think we get a little bit further afield. I think that we see it in other Aryan traditions, things like that. But what I was speaking was less reincarnation in that sense, and more leveling up, if you will, towards something, closer towards divinity, something closer towards the spiritual realms than, you just reincarnating as a bigger, better version of yourself here in Midgard. I think that keeps you back in the same loop, and the idea is to expand beyond that. But again, that's getting a little bit far in the weeds. Thanks, Lou. I'm glad you liked the conversation. I'm glad people are asking some good questions tonight, and some deep questions. How do I recommend someone live the life worthy of the heroes? I think that's different depending on your circumstances. One of the things I think is really important heroically is how you face the struggles you find yourself in. I think to our ancestors, it was much easier to display that in a martial context because those were the struggle of their time. I think now some of those struggles are in a lot of different ways. But whatever the afterlife implications are, it is heroic to try to make yourself more than you are, to go past your limitations and your boundaries. and to be willing to be a force of will outside of attachment and outside of outcome. Going out and living in a pure way as a force of will, unencumbered by all of the fears and worries of life. I think that puts you on the right path towards doing things that are truly heroic. And yes, Lou, that's one of the it's one of the big things about the AFA in general. Yes, all ethnic European folk are part of an extended family, and that's kind of the basis of metagenetics and the basis of why we're here in the Asatru Folk Assembly. Um, I think we're all in agreement on that. Zach, I think some of the things you're talking about can be looked at certainly metaphorically. Um, I think that the idea of going into a cave and accessing the realm of the dead is kind of fanciful. I think the idea of I think some of those things are allegorical to doing certain things. I think traveling across the river, across the waters in general, traditionally is an allegory for overcoming chaos, for overcoming the tumultuousness of emotion and attachment, and being something regal and something more pure of will. I think that that's very common when you talk about passing over waters, and I think that speaks to some of the references I was talking about earlier about the heroic existence and the heroic path. Oh, no worries, Matt. I think that's good, and it furthers the conversation. And if you ever want to talk about it more, I'm happy to talk about it with you. It's certainly a fascinating thing to discuss. Rob asking about if we're going to sell the midsummer T-shirts. The design is really cool. I was just telling Sean about that today. I'm gonna have to ask Sean if he's going to plan on selling them. Typically, those are valuable because they're a one-off, and they're just for people who decide they're going to go out to the event, and a kind of a special deal for those folks that make the trip and something special. So I doubt they're going to be sold in the store. Maybe if miraculously there's some extras, they could be auctioned or something. Okay. Following the major success of the California Hoff, what areas are we looking to expand? We're looking to expand everywhere, Lou. The regions that we're currently expanding at the most rapid pace, I would say, are in the Upper South and the Midwest. We've had a lot of interest in the Midwest lately. So I think those are our two biggest areas of expansion currently, certainly domestically. But we've had a big boost in membership in South Africa this year, which we went from zero to now having a little community there. But yeah, I'd say the Upper South and I'd say the Midwest are our biggest areas of growth right now. When we're looking at Hoff building and things in the future, though, I think the next place we're looking on that, and we're looking very seriously in, is in the Northern Plains. They've had a really good surge of growth, but one of the other things they've done has been extremely consistent. And so that's really important when we look at expanding in successful things like Hoffs. Hmm. Let me check again for a second and see if there's questions I'm missing on the other situation here. Eric Strawn, never fear. I'm going back to try to look at the comments that you say we're missing. All right. Well, I'm trying to look back over it. I don't want to have you guys sit here and stare at me as I play around on Facebook. I'm just trying to access some of these comments because we do have folks that the comments don't show up, and that's unfortunate. Yeah, Eric Strawn, I missed your comments. I'm looking at it in my hand now, so if you send them again, I can get to them. Oh, hey, Dee Dee, thanks for joining us. I was telling everybody that you're responsible for so many of the great pictures we have from our trip. Matt's asking about the relationship of Suna Soul as far as deities that we honor at Midsummer because so many people put an emphasis on Balder. At Midsummer, I really like to focus attention on Balder as a solar deity. I think it's really important to our people, and I think that you see a good cult around Balder and around the divinity of that, around the solar deity that comes back and is resurgent and is the sun coming back and having victory over a very dark time and bringing back prosperity, bringing back the rule of the gods, bringing back the golden age. I think that's the hugely important focus metaphysically of Midsummer. I think that very often Suna is kind of a literary device, if you will, to describe the sun in a lyrical way. But I think Balder represents that solar energy in a very powerful way that certainly I connect with, and that I think that our ancestors really connected with. I think that Balder is certainly a deity that we have specific evidence that they exist and were worshipped and were a powerful force for our ancestors. So yeah, I think that's where the focus is. I think a lot of the things we see in the lore in reference to Suna are more of a creative storytelling than I think are true devotional worship towards a deity. Well, Shane, I'm sorry to hear that the Odinist group in your area is doing rituals that you don't like. I hope that you check out the AFA close by and that you can be part of some of our rituals, because I really think that our Gothar are able to connect with the divine in a really good way, and we always try to be better at that. So yeah, please do reach out to us. Absolutely, Zach. Honoring Balder at Midsummer is extremely important. He is the hope of the future. He is the promise of something great and something wonderful, even through the darkest times. He is the return of victory and of abundance, and he's that promise of the golden age to come. And that's something we need to always keep our eyes on, that prize, and keep our eyes on being hopeful, and keep our eyes on bringing back that golden age in our time and in our lives. Uh-oh. I see Mark trying to make some deals with Rob there. Mark may be able to pull it off. He knows some people. I'm going to check one more time. I know this was a trouble before. Eric Strawn, you think your comments aren't being seen again? If you have any, please send them out. I'm looking on two different places now trying to find them. It's really unfortunate that we're not getting them through, but I want you to know that I am trying to look for them. And if I don't get to them, I promise I will go on after this and later this evening and try to answer them in writing, even if I don't see them on the screen. We're trying every week to get a little bit better with that. I'm not sure where they disappear into, but we're able to find them on the Facebook page after the chat. Excellent, Jessica. Thank you. We really appreciate anybody who does want to donate anything for the midsummer auction. Donations are always appreciated, and yeah, we thank you very much for the folks out there that have sent stuff already. We have quite a few of you guys, and that really helps. It goes a long way, and it contributes to our ability to do successful things at Odenshoff. All right. Well, I got you. I got another question. Oh, okay. So, Votan's Wolves. Somebody wanted me to talk about that. If you are interested, it is a program that Cole and Tiffany Distel started for children within the AFA to be able to learn together and have some activities to do together within our community. And people have really seem to like that. It's something that's been needed. It's something I've heard talked about for so many years, but we've always had an issue. There's not kids close enough. There's always some reason not to do it. And Cole and his wife just stepped up and decided to do it one day. And so from what I hear, it's a fantastic situation. If you guys do have AFA kids that you want to get involved in it, reach out to Cole and Tiffany Distel. You can find them on Facebook. If you reach out to the rest of us, we can get you guys in touch if for some reason you're having trouble connecting. But yeah, we're very proud of them and what they've put forth on it. They really stepped up to a need that we've had, and so far I've heard nothing but great things about it. So I'm really proud of them for doing that. Good, I'm glad, Zach. All right. Well, while I have you, I had another question that was asked outside of this, but they wanted me to speak about on it. And that question was about the Hoftoller. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, if your folk builders have talked about it. I mentioned it once. So starting this year, we have another way or a different way for folks to contribute to the Asatru Folk Assembly that's instead of membership dues. Since our inception, we've collected membership dues like some sort of a club. And what we're trying very hard to transition towards is to function more like a church, more like a religious community. And so the Hoftoller is a planned giving program that's people stepping up and deciding to give a percentage of their income as opposed to a monthly membership dues. And it helps out. It allows us to do a lot of things. And we're so thankful for the folks that have stepped up to do it so far. The Hoftoller is a minimum of 1% of your income, and it goes towards the AFA being able to function and do things and keep up our mission. It's the thing that allows us, or that will allow us in the future, to be successful with our establishments of Hofs throughout the country and around the world. We're very committed to that. We've got big things that we want to do, but it does take resources, and we're very appreciative of anybody that wants to step up and commit to the AFA's success on that level. It's a really special thing, and we're very appreciative of those folks that have stepped up. And thank you guys very much. You know who you are. If anybody is interested in paying by the Hoftoller, we'd be very happy to help. Your folk builder would be very happy to get you all set up. It takes the place of the membership dues. It also gets you out of a situation where you're not having to go deal with PayPal. You're not having to deal with that hassle. It it would go directly to the AFA and not through a third party that way, which is helpful. And it also makes it very easy if this is something that you itemize with your taxes. And I want folks to know, all you guys that have been so generous to us, when you donate to the AFA, if you donate to any of our fundraisers or anything like that, we are absolutely a 501c3 recognized charity. Your donations are tax deductible. Please get with us and we can get you all squared away on that if that's something that you need. Thank you, Zach. Zach points out that Zach is actually the first AFA member that signed up for the Hoftoller, and his contributions are extremely appreciated. He really was instrumental in blazing that trail and setting that standard. And I appreciate it, Zach. Thank you so much. You help us be able to have nice things and do nice things. Sorry, guys. I'm just checking in again to make sure I'm not missing stuff. I'm glad to see so much talk about Votan's Wolves. And the folks there in Ohio are stepping up and saying some stuff about it. That is home base for that program. And I'm glad we got some people on this conversation that have some good information to tell you. Like I say, I would love nothing more to see that be successful and all our AFA children be able to be involved in that and make those connections. Making those connections is the kind of thing that's going to pay off in the years to come as they grow up within the AFA, as they grow up within our church and our community. Them being friends and making that contact when they're young is going to be crucial to that second generation. And it's really beautiful to see that happening. All right, guys, I do have a call right after this tonight. So I got about 15 minutes left with you guys. I'm enjoying talking to you. Is there anything else you guys want to ask about, want me to speak on, anything you're curious about, or just anything you guys want me to address or to hear me ramble on about? Looking at the feed, I'm hoping I'm answering folks' questions. Like I say, if you're asking something, I'm not ducking you. I promise I will go back in after this and answer stuff if I'm missing them. I look forward to this all the time. I'm happy to be able to talk to you guys. While I have you, if you guys haven't seen it on the Facebook page, you haven't noticed, we have four new folk builders in the course of the last week. Jessica Lambert has stepped up out of Ohio to be an apprentice folk builder in our Midwest region. We are extremely excited. I got to meet Jessica at Ostara. I think she is a great lady. I think she's going to bring a lot to that region and our folk there, and I'm excited to see what she's going to do. Zach, who's been a big part of this conversation, Zach Cato, who is the leader of Heimdall's Midgard Kindred in Indiana, has also decided to come back to us as a apprentice folk builder, which is fantastic. Zach's been super active trying to get folks together in his area, and I think now that he's an official apprentice folk builder with us, that's only going to go further and faster. And I think between him and Josh and Jessica, they're going to do really great things in the Midwest. And we thank you guys so much for stepping up and helping us out in that way. I also want to take the time to acknowledge Christo LaRue. Christo LaRue is a member in South Africa. He is one of the leaders of Volkswagen Kindred, and he is hitting the ground running as far as helping to lead our charitable endeavors there and distribute our resources and our relief efforts. He's excited about being our interface with that region and building the AFA in South Africa. And it's really something special to have a real live AFA folk builder in South Africa helping those people out. I'm very excited about that, and I know Christo will do a really good job for us. And then, as I mentioned earlier, if anybody wasn't here at the beginning of this call tonight, Rob Stam has stepped up as our very newest folk builder in the Upper South. Rob's in Central Virginia, and He's excited to hit the ground running and be part of our Upper South Folk Building team. Please reach out to Rob if you need anything. Rob is fantastic. Um, I got to meet Rob at Ostara as well, and blown away with the guy. I think the world of Rob Stam, and he's going to do amazing things. We're going to do amazing things together. Lou, you asked why I prefer the term Aryan over Indo-European. Indo-European describes a place and a continent and a spot on a map. Aryan is a self-identifier that means noble, and it means shining with nobility. And I think the one is cold and sterile, the other is rich with power and relevance. And it's not just a pat on the back or a self-congratulatory term to describe our folk. It's a challenge for us to step up to a standard and us to be more. It's a mandate that we be noble and that we choose to shine with nobility. It's setting that bar high for ourselves and not just describing us as people that happen to be from Europe or around the Indus Valley. It describes us as the noble people, the people that shine with nobility. And I want us to aspire to that. And I don't want us to be afraid from being proud of ourselves. So that's why I prefer that term. What's key to building in your area? Key to building in your area is consistency. Consistency and just going into it with the right heart. One of the things that I find very difficult with people is they get all fired up and they're so excited and they want to build something for the AFA. They want to build something for their gods and their folk. And they go out and they take their best swing and it doesn't work. And then they're defeated and they disappear. I know for the work I was doing folk building in Alaska, it took a really long time. We've got a great kindred and a great group of people up in Alaska now, but that was a lot of years of trying. And it was a lot of times of hosting something and no one showing up. Or maybe you host something and, only the weirdo shows up that you didn't want to show up. But you keep a smile on your face and you do it again the next month and the next month and the next month. And you pick up momentum and eventually it starts to snowball and it grows and you can nurture something. But without that consistency, it's very hard to make something happen. So what I say, if you want to build something in your area, invite people out to a restaurant you and your wife, you and your girlfriend like to go to. Say, hey, this is an AFA event. Come on out. Worst case scenario, you have a nice evening with your wife or girlfriend. Best case scenario, you get AFA members coming out, you make friends, and you plant the seed of something that grows. I think that's a win-win situation, and that's what I would really advise to build folks in your area. I did not see the question about interacting with zealous Christian family members. I appreciate you keeping an eye on that for me. If you can, just shoot me what the question was and I'll get to it. If not, I'll try to answer it generally here in just a second. What I heard about the rune ban in Sweden, it happened while I was over there. The discussion of the potential of a rune ban happened while I was over there. And ironically, we're getting texts blowing up my phone about this rune ban as I'm in a museum over there looking at a wall full of runic pendants and, runes as far as the eye can see. The Swedes at the time thought that it wasn't going to be a big deal. That's not something that they were going to do or they were going to enforce. It turns out that that's the way it shook out. A lot of people may not know, but it was explained to us in Sweden that the way their rules are, they're very contextual and situational. Symbols and slogans and things are fine if people who are politically correct and acceptable say them or wear them or display them. But if they think you've committed thought crimes or that you don't have the right groupthink, then the exact same symbols and expressions and things all of a sudden become criminal and some form of hate speech. So they continue to have that very nebulous situation, but no, they didn't move forward with that runic ban, which would have been disgraceful culturally, but it just would have been a poor decision for them economically. The runes and their Viking heritage is such a huge part of their tourist industry. It would have been a really silly thing for them to have tried to do. Solitary Asatru. Yeah, try not to do that. It's a lot better than nothing, and a lot of us started out that way. I certainly started out that way. But if you can, and as soon as you can, when you find a group of people that are doing it right, Asatru is about community. It's about the bonds you build while sharing with each other. Um, just in a community building way, but in a metaphysical way as well. All of our rituals are designed to synergize with the people around us. And we build a strength and a presence before the divine by interacting as a community and as a group. And as soon as you can find a group of folks, and like I say, reach out to us and we'd like to help you find a group. I think that that's certainly the way to go. Hmm. Sorry, guys, we got several people right now trying really hard to access any questions that we're missing. If we're missing you, I'm really sorry, but I promise you Mandy and myself are trying really hard to make sure we get them. Hey, Karen, thanks for joining us. So going back, I didn't see any in a specific deal with the what the question was about zealous Christian family members. That's difficult. There's not an easy answer. I don't have a magic formula that will make that okay and disappear. But something I do think is really important to consider. They're your family. They will be your family as long as they live. Depending upon who they are in your family, they will be your ancestors long after they live. They will be your descendants. They will be intricately tied to you and to your weird forever. Try to make peace with your family, but I wouldn't do that at the sake of compromising your beliefs or compromising who you are. The best thing that I've found and that I've seen with other people as well is to live nobly and live in a dignified way. If they accept you for how you behave and the things that you do, they will be better able to associate that with your belief set and the things that you value and believe in. If you live in a way that's consistent with our values, there should be a very clear connection between our values and who you are and who your family sees you being. And I think over time, that's the best way. But I'd say you do the best to try to maintain your cool and maintain your presence within your family without blowing up or without allowing them to bait you into a situation where there's a family fight or a big family row about it. The more you can do to exercise sovereignty over your own emotions and your own will when dealing with your family and to treat them as your family regardless of what they may do, I think will show your steady and even keel values being something to, if not outwardly embrace, to at least have a respect for. And I think that's what you can build on. And I know it's a really general way. I'm not sure what the specific question was, but that's my advice in general on it. All right, guys. So I mentioned I do have another call here in a few minutes about AFA business. So if there's anything else, do we have any last minute questions anybody'd like to ask? Anything else you guys like to hear me give some final words on? Until you do, and while we give the chance for the last couple questions to maybe roll in, I just want to say again, if you can, if it's at all possible, get in the car, stick your thumb out, whatever you can do, get out to Odenshof for Midsummer, June the 21st through the 23rd. It's going to be something very special. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. It's a big year for us. It's always a very special event, and it's always great to get you guys to come out to our sacred space that we've established here, and to something that, every year that goes by with our events there, with the rites and celebrations that we've had there, with our worship and devotion at that Hof, we make that more special every year. It gets even more powerful and more potent with our might and our spiritual Megan there. So it's a very special place. It's a powerful place, and we'd love to have you guys come out and see it. So if you make it midsummer, I'd love to see you there. If not, come to Fall Fest. Even if you do make it to midsummer, come to Fall Fest, because Fall Fest is spectacular. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming out on this call tonight and for being here and for letting me talk with you guys. I look forward to it every month. It is a pleasure. I love my AFA family. Hope you guys all have a good night. Hope you guys are enjoying your summer, and I will talk to you again next month. Hail the gods, hail the folk, hail the AFA.